So I am Fongang Rodrique. I was a GSoC student back 2019, and my experience here at Rocket.Chat really changed a lot of things about like the things I do now, or so many things about me. So I'm currently a technical writer at Rocket.Chat, in charge of the documentation and some of the stuff. And we'll be talking briefly of how on how you can survive GSoC as a newbie. I mean, I basically started GSoC as somebody who, well, it was my first year in the university. I had no programming experience, so I started learning from there. Like, so this basically, like, I'll talk a little bit about what it meant for me, or how I was able to navigate through that process until selection after GSoC. And I think it's an amazing thing what the open source community is doing, and most especially how Rocket.Chat receives you as a potential GSoC student. Yeah, so briefly, we'll just talk. I have very short slides. I don't know how you can get to know the community, how you can go about like everything. It's like the previous presenters have spoken a lot about some important things. So I think if you're noting those down, it's definitely going to help you. And a few things to and not to do. So first off, we'll be talking about knowing the community. So first, Rocket.Chat is a product, and good thing it's a communication. It's a software that you use basically. So getting to know the community, you have to start by learning how to use Rocket.Chat, like what a channel is, maybe how to use channels when you know how to say reply in a thread or stuff like that. So if you can start from there, I think you're on a good foot. And I'm not going to talk about any tech details, or you having to get like some technical knowledge. This is basically me speaking like how I entered into the open source community, how I got to GSoC, and how I learned how to program. So you need to learn how to communicate and collaborate with others. So there are a lot of tools from say you want to collaborate maybe through email, like how you get into the community, or like Rocket.Chat in this case, the open channel the open server that is available. You can learn how to use those. That's just very basic. And also like getting to know the various repositories. Like I think one of the speakers I've forgotten mentioned like the server code exists here, and then there's the UI components here, and there are a lot of things. There's the apps engine this way, so you can navigate through all those repositories. You might see an issue that you can tackle. You might see something interesting or one product that you can probably say contribute to. And if you are contributing to open source like Rocket.Chat, for example, you usually don't need to know how to code. It is good you have the experience. You need to have the experience. Maybe you know at least how to use Git. I think there are some links. I have like 2 links I'll share to get on those. But for you to get those basic knowledge, I think like during this period, like when proposals are not started coming in, when you're in the community, someone mentioned that you should join early. That's a very important point. So you can get time to see like what is required for you to get started. Like maybe you have to learn how to use Git, know how to use Rocket.Chat, and know how to say collaborate with an open source product, or how to send pull requests and stuff like that. So that's a time that you can learn all those things, and it will not take you long, even as a beginner. And also in the community, you see like how Single is always there welcoming people, Dev is doing the same, do that, all of that. That is very, very important. You might just be there, you don't know, just you're welcome and directing somebody to like, hey, read these messages and to get started, see this link, this is the documentation to get your environment set up. That is very, very important. You don't know, it's a whole community we are building, so you have to be ready to assist one another. So if you can do that's a very important way, or that's a very simple way for you to get interactive with the community, and you being always available to help others. Maybe you get noticed, like, oh, this person can play with the team, this person can collaborate with others. Now, how do you go about all of these things? I cannot emphasize this enough, but you have to ask questions. Like, seriously, you need to ask questions. I remember each time, like when the conversation is going on, because like I said, I started my first year in the university, and I did not have like any programming knowledge. I did not do say computer science or ICT what in high school. I did not. So I really wanted to enter this field, and I heard about open source. It was very interesting to me. It was very fascinating. I got into it, just started learning. I think I started with Python and JavaScript, something like that. Those were the languages I was about learning. then Rocket.Chat. So the highest thing you can do is ask questions. And I don't know if I should mention this, but from my area, things were very difficult. So I basically started GSoC without even a machine to run my local environment. That is something that is still like a miracle to me. Like all through my working process, I think Martin, they had to set like a remote server for me to be using, and that is how supportive it can get. So I never had a machine like even 4 gig of RAM to even run like a local server for myself. So just ask questions, like communicate with the community. Just if there's anything, ask questions. And it's important to note, like if you have a general question, you can ask in the channel, like for everybody, and not mention anyone. So just ask. There'll be a lot of people willing to help. There'll be a lot of people available to help you. And unless you have specific question or questions that are directed to somebody, don't on anybody. It's a community, and you need help. So you don't know who may be able to help you. So just ask questions. Seriously, you ask questions. It's very, very important. Most of the times when conversations are going, I have like multiple Google tabs open, like to search. Like somebody can talk about this thing I've never heard about. I just go Google and what is it? Before I even respond, the conversation is already over and things like that. Yeah, but it's very important if you are learning or if you want to grow. And to mention about a few things that you should do and things that you should not do. Be willing to learn. That is a key. Because say you want to contribute on a project and you don't know like how to go about it, you need to be willing to learn. Like in my case, I had to learn a lot of things actually, a lot of things. Like there are a lot of things to learn because oh boy, I don't know how to put this, but be willing to learn and be positive and confident. Well, I started I think my first pull request, this asked for being positive. I actually had to, I think one of the very first instances where they started using Gitpod was because I think someone directed me that I could use Gitpod if I don't have a local environment. And the very first pull request that had to do with Gitpod setup, I think like that was one of my first pull requests I ever did, which was, yeah, from someone like a beginner, it was very amazing. And then the next was maybe change a CSS color or scroll bar was not showing, something like that. But you just have to just attack the code, like get into it, like you can do this thing. Be willing to take feedback and respond. Now this is very important because when you start giving out your proposals, like for when they want to review them, they're going to tell you like, hey, you can do this thing like this. Or maybe even when you're having conversations in the idea specific channels, you may display your ideas like this is what you're thinking about this particular project, this is what you're thinking, and a mentor may suggest like this. You should be willing to take that feedback and probably update whatever thing that you have thinking, whatever thing that you see as you want better. So be willing to accept all those feedback, and that will go as far as when you are already working on the project. Like after each phase of evaluation, they're going to tell like maybe this is what you're supposed to do, this is how you're supposed to go about it, and you have to be open to that. It's a community. This is not your thing, it's for everybody. So everybody has a say. You are just the person in front to make it happen. Now you need to be patient and learn to work independently. The patient part comes to say, for example, when you've submitted a proposal and then you want a mentor to review it, you have to be patient with them, the mentors. They have a lot of work, or maybe when you leave them a message and they are taking long to respond. So during that period, you should learn how to figure out things on your own. Yeah, it's tiring, but yeah, you should do that. You should spend a lot of time in support. Well, I did not know much about like the code base, how to write code and stuff like that. So I could just contribute, like I think the docs, I contributed the docs and a few pull requests on the main repo. And you spend a lot of time in support. Somebody may come like complaining about something. That will just give you a chance to go through the code base. That will give you a chance to go to the code base, and yeah, that's how you get to bond with the community. And things that you should not do is keep ideas to yourself. Like say you're in a idea specific channel, you guys are discussing, your fellow GSoC students are sharing ideas on how they want to implement something, and you're keeping your ideas. Say maybe somebody can use it and write their proposal. That is not a very supportive way of doing things. You have to share it. Yeah, that alone gives you like that visibility. Like, okay, so this is what this student is thinking. It's not all about one of the previous speaker mentioned, like maybe you can have like this huge amount of pull request merge, this open issues. then you're not like communicative in the channels. That one is not a good remark. So you have to share ideas, be willing to help each other, and lastly, we have don't do not neglect instructions. This is very, very important. When they say go back and read the previous messages or say pinned messages in this channel, try to read them. Like seriously, it has a lot of content. It has a lot of useful information that you can use. And well, this is what I can say about this. And I did not hear anybody mention about the sleeping part, but after you're successful as a GSoC student, you're definitely going to be rewarded like financially. And that actually was what helped me to get my first computer like ever, 2019, 2020, GSoC 2019, 2020. Yeah, but it's very, very important. So if you're willing to just do the work, you may not be successful your first time, you may not be successful your second time, but just the fact that you get to know amazing people like Sing, for example, Sing is very interesting. It can push you a lot. And also, just to mention from GSoC, I was able to do like a project, I think, on freelance out of GSoC relating to Rocket.Chat. So just that simple knowledge that you are a member of this community or you collaborate, you don't know what will happen. You might meet somebody interesting, and tomorrow you get something nice for yourself. I think this is all I have for you guys. Thank you very much and happy GSoC.
Okay, that's very good. I think that I joined the Rocket Chat almost at the same time of Fong, right? As a Rocketeer, and I was very impressed because he has this joy on doing stuff, because he already had contributed a lot in Google Summer of Code, and you can feel that. And I think that those ideas that don't neglect instructions, this is very important, because when as soon as you get into the GSoC channels, sorry, we have a lot of instructions about, and there you have almost everything. So uh, and from there, if you are kind of lost, you can see like the channels for each project, and you can see like on if you are using Macintosh or Windows or Gitpod, you can see everybody there, and then you can connect with those people that has uh, the same thing with you. So that's very good. That's very good. Really, thank you.
Okay.
Oh, we
Thank you.
have
Thank you. I don't
any
know if
questions
anybody
here?
has any question. Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm
please.
just going to sit at the side.
Yeah, this is very good. And those are great tips, really. Those are very good. So if anybody has any questions, please don't be shy. As we could see by now, communication is key. Uh, you have to follow. So, for example, when Fongang was talking about spending time on support, one thing that I usually do is like sometimes someone was asking about, oh, do is this option, do this or do that. So it's a good opportunity, as Fong said, like to see that option that he's talking about, and then go into the code base and say, okay, what this option is really doing. And then maybe the person asking the question is like having some assumptions that this question will do something, but he's not understanding exactly. But when you see the code base based on that question, you're going to have two wins here, right? You're going to help someone out there on the channel, on the support or on the forums, and also you're going to have like an excuse or like a motive to go into the code base with a specific objective to find about those options. So those are amazing and amazing tips, and I'm really glad that we can have all that here.